With New Zealand's average property price, Auckland's average property price sitting at just over $700,000 and the national average at almost $500,000, there is something of a national preoccupation with finding cheaper alternatives, as there should be. So a self-sufficient house that costs less than many new cars, that sounds like a winner, right? Somehow, weirdly, the answer is no, it doesn't. Lachlan Forsyth with one man's ingenious response to the housing crisis and the bureaucrats evicting it.
Nestled amongst the pine trees and the pampas grass sits one of the smallest houses you'll ever find. It is a masterstroke of tiny living that apparently takes up far too much space.
I'm breaching council code for the 7 acres piece of land because of density.
Brett Sutherland owns this 15 square metre home and the size suits him just fine. Here he can work, he can live, he can just relax. But because it's situated on a friend's property, this tiny house is a big problem.
Their rules say 2 dwellings, a major minor per site. They're not taking into consideration the logical aspect of how big the site is.
We're standing in 7 acres of land out here in Bethells Beach. It is beautiful. Just over there we've got the main house. There's another small dwelling just behind it. And then if we come right down to the end of the section, we've got Brett's tiny house. Now, he collects his own water, he creates his own electricity, he has a composting toilet. The whole tiny house is literally 15 square metres and on a piece of land the size of many city blocks. What's the problem with that? Yes, at a time when Auckland Council is actively pushing for greater density, Brett is being forced off this property because, according to the rules, it is too dense.
I could move to an 1/8 of an acre section and park it up and be 1,000 times dense per area, or it could be here with tons of space. It's a very cosy little house.
Yeah. So you've managed to combine your living room with your living space with your heating. Scattered throughout the house are signs of Brett's skills as a sculptor, as an artist and as a boat builder.
My couch here, if you have a look under here, you'll see what's known as a flexi tank, and commonly used on boats, and that collects all my rainwater from the roof.
Arriving back from living overseas and shocked by the cost of living in New Zealand, he put his talents to use, creating this fully road legal micro home.
I designed this and built this myself in my parents' driveway, and instantly I've avoided the rent trap.
How much did this cost you to build?
$22,000.
Which is less than a lot of people would pay in rent.
It's less than half of a deposit for a cheap house.
The micro home movement has followers all over the world. It's all about challenging the conventional notion of how a house should look. Designs range from the permanent to the portable. The only thing they have in common is they're small.
So when you need to, you just ease it out like that, and 3 people can very comfortably sit around that. I've got my spare chair sitting in the rafters. In the kitchen over here, I'm using a small 3-way fridge. 3-way fridge runs off gas, 12 volts or 240 volts. I'd like to have an oven eventually when I can afford it, but for right now that's fine. And making good use of space, I changed the curtain like that and make a larger bathroom area for my full-size shower shub, my composting toilet.
With solar power and rainwater collection, Brett is almost entirely self-sufficient.
With full queen-size bed. The only negative aspect is the tank of propane gas every month to a month and a half, and so that costs about $26, and that's my costs.
Do you miss creature comforts or having space?
I've got the creature comforts. I don't miss them at all. I don't have the walk-through garage, but I've got a covered entrance to my door. That's sweet. And I live in a place like this. It's beautiful. Oh, you want a scratch? You love a scratch, don't you? Yeah.
Yep, Amongst the trees with the kuni for company, it is a beautiful existence.
Oh, that's good. You haven't had a scratch for a while, have you?
And Brett just can't understand why this is against the rules.
We need to have a bit of freedom to live like this, because this is a real solution to the housing crisis. And we're not really offered many solutions. We're only told, here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem. This is a viable solution for many people.
We had wanted an interview with someone from Auckland Council, but instead we got this statement emailed to us. It says that this area is defined as an outstanding natural landscape area and properties are restricted to one main and one minor dwelling. It says that the size of a property is not taken into account at all, which does seem rather strange. Brett has been given until January to leave the property. If he wants to stay, his microhome would need resource consent, and there is no word on how much that might cost.
Thanks, Lachie. Lachlan Forsyth. This does seem bizarre. We'll let you know what happens. Right.